Hello everybody, Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. Happy New Year! Thanks so much for joining me this first Monday of 2023. I am so appreciative of the fact that you've taken time out of your schedule to watch my video tonight. And if you're catching it on replay, I appreciate it at that time as well. Please be sure that you give me a thumbs up, a like, share it with anybody that you think may like this design card, learning more about making cards, anything like that. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I've been with them for approximately 10 years, but have been making cards and sharing the joy one card at a time for approximately 30 years at this point. It's something I do to relax and just have fun, and I do enjoy sharing my creations and showing people how to make these cards as well so that they can also spread that joy amongst their friends. I am going to go ahead and flip my camera and get started with the card that I'm going to share with you tonight and show you a couple tricks as well with a new stamp set that'll be coming out in the January to April mini catalog for 2023. All right, let's go ahead and give me a minute here. Then you don't see all my messy stuff in the corner. And I'll get the camera flipped over. I also need to make sure that I'm in the right area on my iPad so that I can confirm that my filming is going the way that it should. And there we go. All right, I will turn that volume down so you don't hear any messages and whatnot coming through. And then I need to clear my camera stand off so that I've got room. I'm really excited tonight. I'm going to be sharing with you looks kind of dark here. Let's see if I can brighten things up just a little bit. There we go. I think that was just my tablet that was causing the problem. Anyhow, I'm going to just share with you a new card set, and it's a suite that I actually shared in a live earlier today. So if you would like to see all the details about it, feel free to check that out on the same page here. The suite is the Regency Park suite. It consists of 2 stamp sets, a punch, a die, which I don't know that I can find all my pieces now, a die, a whole bunch of paper, some just absolutely gorgeous shimmer paper, textured shimmer paper. It's a cardstock that designer series paper that will coordinate with all of these colors: petal pink, sweet sorbet, mango melody, shaded spruce, night of navy, and balmy blue. Sorry, every time I was talking about this in my video earlier, I was saying the name wrong, and I was afraid I was going to do it now. There's a great die that it works with, not a die, but a 3D embossing folder, and then these punch pieces, and then here are all the dies, including this one that allows you to stick this piece inside here so you can have a nice frame around a sentiment. All of these flower images. Here is what the images look like stamped. And, you know, I wasn't totally prepared to be showing all of this off tonight. So I don't have all of the pieces, and I'm just, here they are. This is 2-step stamping, so you get this plus this equals this, and then this plus this equals this. And along with that, then you get all of these awesome phrases and sentiments this way. So that's real quick in a nutshell. Like I said, there's some gorgeous designer series paper, so go ahead and check that other video out just to see that as well. You're going to see mostly stamping tonight. I will share the examples of the cards that I made so that you can get an idea of what else this suite can do, and then we will jump in on our cards. This new mini catalog actually goes into effect on January 5th. And Loki, excuse me 1 minute, the dog seems to have gotten his ball caught somewhere. You're interrupting me. Go. Sorry about that. He dropped his ball in the clothes basket, and for some reason he can't figure out how to get out of it. All right. Here is one of the cards that I made. This is some of the designer series paper, and that's that cool frame with a sentiment stamped on it and some of the die cut flowers. These cool milky self-adhesive dots are also included in there, so that's a lot of fun. And then there's this card, and these dots are all part of that. These are Mango Melody. The other ones were just a white. This is some of the textured shimmer paper, but there is also some designer series paper that looks just like this as well. There's a story behind this in my video if you watch that. And then, you know, just a simple card with the thanks. And then we've got this cute little card that I made. It's a 3x3 card. I basically, when I get a new stamp set like this, I kind of start working with what's in the catalog and then figure out where I want to go for there. I do tweak them just a little bit. This is part of the ribbon that is part of this suite. And all I did to get that is just trim off part of that satin, and I left the woven part in the middle there. So I just used one of the edges and I tied a knot. I am not going to be using ribbon on the cards that I'm making today. I'm going to use twine instead, and that's just because of the colors that I used. I wanted to ramp it up just a little bit from just the colors that are in the suite. So basically what I've done is I've duplicated this 3x3 card, and I'm using the Gorgeous Grape, Bermuda Bay, and Melon Mambo to create this card. And I'm not going to assemble these. I just wanted you to see what they look like. I used Best Wishes. I had some difficulties with this stamp that was a user error, but I didn't have time before going live here to fix that. So there's that piece. And then this is what it looks like with the happy birthday sentiment on the Melon Mambo paper. So we're going to use Gorgeous Grape and recreate this little card. And I want to show you a couple tricks as part of that process. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is taking a piece of 6x3 cardstock. This happens to be Gorgeous Grape. I've scored it at 3 inches. And we will fold it over. Oh, you guys, I had my bone folder. Here it is. Here it is. We'll score it. Actually, we'll burnish it along the score line. And then I've just got a 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 piece for the inside, and a 2 3/4 piece by a 2 3/4 piece for the outside. And then the other thing that I need is a piece of cardstock that is big enough to incorporate all of my flowers here. And that's kind of the shortcut trick that I want to show you. I am using my Stamparatus. You can do this and you can line them up quite easily without the Stamparatus. For purposes of being live tonight, I did want to make sure that I had good alignment. And because I had made multiples of these, I also just kept going. Whoops, strong magnet here. I also just set up my Stamparatus because it was a simpler process for me. So there are 2 sets of stamps. This is a 2-step stamp process. One of these stamps the darker border, and then one stamps the inside. And for the inside piece, I did a 2nd generation stamping, simply because I wanted to be able to have a slightly lighter shade for inside as I was doing that. But I wanted to share with you a trick so that you can get your images to line up for your stamps and your punches. So what I did is I took a piece of white cardstock and I punched it out with my punch. Punched it out with my punch this way. And got this image. And so I just simply put this here, and then I lined up my stamps. This one is upside down. I had a couple of them that I was using. And then I just lined up. We're going to make this work. I need to find the frame that I was doing. You know, here I thought I was all ready. Make an impression, my first video of the year, and we'd get it right. Anyhow, I had another frame like this that I had punched out these two sets of flowers. Let's just pretend this lines up. I don't want to waste your time as I search through my mess here. Maybe this is going to get it. There we go. Whew. Okay, so I just punched it out, and then I lined up my stamps by hand, just sticking them in the center of these flowers. And so then I've got that one there, and I did the same with this. And that way I know the spacing is right for when I'm going to be stamping, that it's going to fit in the punch. Now these three are together, so automatically they're going to fit in pretty well. But I also had been using the leaf earlier, and so I had that part lined up as well so that I could get a good image of the leaf. So let's go ahead and get started then. I do have a scrap of basic white paper that I'm using, and when I'm doing stamping like this, I do like to just add a little bit of adhesive to the back so that I can put it in the corner and it'll stay in place. When possible, I do like to use the corner of my Stamparatus to get it tight. That way, if it does shift a little bit, I am able to just put it right back in the corner and be confident that it is lined up. Now, when I'm using my Stamparatus, I do can use my regular ink blocks, but I like to use the Stampin' Spots. These are ones that I've gotten out of paper pumpkin kits. I hang on to those even after I've completed the kit. And the reason I do that is I like them for purposes of stamping on my Stamparatus. It allows me to get smaller areas than the bigger ink pads do. And I'm going to show you right here why I struggle with the bigger ink pads. Sometimes I get it onto my plate, and then that can transfer onto whatever project I'm working on. So I'm just going to wipe that off to make sure that I don't have ink. And I have a little bit more control with the smaller ones, and that's the only reason I'm doing it with these. You are perfectly fine using your larger stamp pads. I just have more control, especially when I'm using 3 different colors on a project like I am with this. So I'm stamping it with Gorgeous Grape. This is Bermuda Bay. And my last color is Melon Mambo. And like I said, I've just collected these over the years from paper pumpkin kits or other kits that I've used and purchased from Stampin' Up. So I've got my outlines done. I'm gonna redo this Gorgeous Grape real quick so that it's got a fresh spot of ink on it. And now all I need to do is push this over. Now, one trick that I've learned is, you know, you get those free glass cleaning cloths all the time from different businesses or whatever. Save those, and you can use that, and it's easier than doing this with your fingers. This slides real smoothly over your plates and allows you to press down without a whole lot of pressure. And then I'm just gonna pop it off. Oops, now I'm caught on my watch. And there we go. If I wasn't happy with how these images looked, I could re-ink these and put it over and not have to worry about whether my ink is lined up or not. All right, I'm going to repeat this process now on the solid part of my flowers. And again, I'm doing the same colors. This one is Melon Mambo. And with this ink spot, I'm able to just stamp that little flower. Then I'm going to go to Bermuda Bay. And I'm getting a good coating of ink on here because I am going to be doing 2nd generation stamping to get the same shade, just a lighter color. All right, so now we've got that. And because I don't want to ink it on here the first time through, I'm just going to stick a piece of scratch paper in here, rub it with my fingers, but it goes a lot quicker if I do this. And that's going to get a chunk of ink off of here. Now you can tell I did not press down on that Bermuda Bay flower, so not a problem. I can just come right back up here and press down on it, and it will be lined up. All right, Now I'm going to make sure that my paper's in the corner, and I can just press this down, and there's enough ink left on here that it's going to tint it without covering up the outlines. And there we go. All right, so once I've done that, I'm going to set that piece of paper aside. And then the other thing that I want to do is I've got a 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 piece of basic white cardstock, and I am going to be stamping the greenery part. And so on my grid paper here, I've just made marks so that I know where to line up appropriately. And this I'm going to be stamping in Granny Apple Green. So I'm going to take my Simply Chamois and get rid of this ink. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want it transferring on my fingers or anything else as I switch my plates around. One of the cool things about the Stamparatus is our plates pull out super easy, and you can have multiple stamps set up and be able to stamp images like crazy. So the first thing that I'm going to do is stamp the outline piece in Granny Apple Green, and this will go on to my cardstock at full strength. Okay, so I'm just going to put that down and grab my magic cloth and rub it over. All right, and then I will take my Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to grab just a piece of scrap paper because I'm going to be inking up the solid portion here with the Granny Apple Green, but this I want to have be second generation stamping again so that it's a shade lighter. So I've got it inked up, and I'm just going to take a scrap piece of paper. You can tell I was working on this. Same stamps with this. Doesn't matter because all I'm doing is getting one layer of ink off my stamps. And then I can set that aside, and here we go. I can come back through, again rub. Because there's some distance between the plate and my paper, this isn't going to get picked up unless I were to actually press down on there. But you do want to be careful that you're not getting too much off to the side. And I can pull it off. And look how nicely and how easy it was to line up these images. So let me do a quick wipe down again, just so that I'm not transferring ink any there. Sorry for shaking my table. If you've watched me, you know that I tend to transfer ink real easily on stuff. And then when you are using your Stamparatus, you never want to close two plates on top of each other. They aren't designed to do that, so you only can fold one over, and I'm going to just close it that way. And we'll set that aside. And then the cool part now with our flowers is we're going to be able to punch these out, and they'll be lined up to match our punch. And a trick when you've got a square that you're not going to be able to hang on to because it's basically exactly the size of the punch is to take just one of those narrow bits of card scraps that you get with your basic white cardstock. It's not uncommon to have like that 1/2-inch strip. And all I do is I save those, and then I just put a little bit of adhesive on the end of it, and I pop it onto the back of whatever I need to punch out. And now I've got a handle so I can maneuver and get it lined up without having to worry about whether I can grab those corners of the cardstock or not. So I do my best to get it lined up, and then I just start to close the punch, which allows the paper to be held really pretty well. But if I need to make a minor tweak to it, I can still do it by just jiggling the handle, but it's not going to go super far, so you're not going to knock it way out of alignment, if that makes sense. And then I just have to punch it out, and I've got my 3 flowers. So see how nicely they line up, and do that. And just if you wanted to know, here's what the leaves look like too when they're all punched out. I don't need them for my card here because we've got all this floral greenery on this card, but I did want you to see how easy it was to be able to recreate those flowers. So here we've got this nice open area. That's where our flowers are going to go. And I'm just going to use a dimensional to pop up on each of these. And you'll usually end up with just a little bit of your stick. You can just peel that off, put a dimensional here, and we'll put a dimensional here. And then I am going to grab for this one a little bit of white twine. And that's just so that I can get it wrapped around here and add a little bit of pop to the card. So I'm going to start next by stamping my sentiment of happy birthday. Now, with these word stamps, if you put them on, sometimes they'll get twisted if you do it by hand or curve just a little bit. So I have found that if I just set it upside down on my work surface and put my black on it, I get a straight image. And again, I always put my sentiments and any stamp onto my block crooked on purpose. That way I focus on getting the sentiment straight and don't worry about whether my block is straight. I get better images when I do that. And I'm going to take this and just ink up the happy birthday. Now with these fine lettered words, you don't want to rock it or push down super hard, because sometimes you can kind of squash it a little bit. So just beware. You might want to practice a little bit if you haven't used narrow stamps like this. It's easy to blur it if you rock it too hard. All right, and then let's grab some for my scissors here, some of this twine, and I think I'm going to wrap it around a couple times just to add a little pizzazz to the card, like I said. Oops. Oh, my fingers aren't working very well tonight either. Well, I hope everybody had a good New Year's. Ours was fairly quiet. John ended up working both Saturday and Sunday, so New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, which we knew he was going to. His job requires that and has ever since. I managed to tie a knot into this before I was ready. That's just been a normal thing for us. I'm going to pretend I don't see that knot. So he worked. I did get over to see my mom yesterday. She is recovering from COVID quite nicely and will be allowed out of quarantine. Let's see, today is the 2nd. She's quarantined through the 4th. So on the 5th, she's allowed to finally leave her apartment. They've been pretty strict on not having people come out if they've tested positive, which they shouldn't anyhow, but they actually went the full 10 days where she lives because they had a fairly high case count. So we're grateful for what they've been doing where she lives in terms of taking care of people. All right, I'm not going to try to do a bow because as you can see, I'm just struggling with that tonight. So I'm going to tie an extra knot in here. And we'll trim our twine and be like, yep, that's what I plan to do. All right. Then we can pop our flowers on, and this card is going to be laid out more like this one. So I'm going to put my larger flower at the top. And then we've got this one kind of filling in the space over here. You can kind of see on the, oops, my gosh, on the leaves here where stuff is supposed to go. So it's pretty easy to lay stuff out. And then we'll put our little one here to fill in that space. And boom, we've got it done. Then I'm going to grab my ink pad for sure to get that closed. And I want to find you know, I really did think I had everything all laid out so nice for this class, and apparently I wasn't as ready as I thought I was. Whoops. Chances are I'm covering it up. Okay, here we go. So here are those adhesive milky dots, and I just want to use a little bit of I think I'm going to use this because to me they sort of look yellow still. So the center of a lot of flowers can be yellow. I can actually find my take your pick tool. I know, shocker. And I'm just going to pop maybe a couple of those off. We'll use the smaller ones. You know, when I watch other people use that, they seem to be able to do it just boom, 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 and it works. Mine tend to, you know, fly across the table like this or not cooperate a whole lot. But when it works, it really works. All right, so now we've got the flower centers here, and all I need to do now is to take my little 3x3 that I cut. Maybe what I learned is I just can't do 2 live videos in one day. It takes too much. I don't know. But there we go. We're going to put this on here. And that takes care of that. And then I am not putting anything on the inside because I want to be able to write a note. And it's not a very big card. It's just meant to be a little gift card that accompanies a plate of cookies or a birthday gift or something. So I'm going to put that right here in the center. And we have our cute little card. So here it is, kind of in more primary colors: Night of Navy, Sweet Sorbet, Melon, Mango Melody, and Shaded Spruce with Night of Navy. Those are the primary colors, along with Petal Pink, that are in this suite of products. And so I wanted to be able to show you that you can step away from those products as well, those colors, and create your own combination of colors. I do like the depth that you get from the 2-layer or 2 second generation stamping when you're doing the outline along with the inside filler. I think that adds a little bit. This card looks like it should actually have a little pomp to it as well. So we're going to go ahead and add, as long as we've got them out and I know where they are, I'm going to go ahead and add these milky dots to the center of these flowers. These come in Mango Melody, Night of Navy, Petal Pink, and White. But again, I think they're going to pick up the color that's kind of around them. So this is going to, you know, the blue is going to work with multiples. This is probably going to work with yellow toned items. The pinks are going to go with pretty much any shade of pink that we have, along with like the grays and things like that, as will these white ones. So I think you're going to find those to be pretty versatile. So again, here are these little cards. I will finish these up and have pictures of these once I get them all done. but I wanted you to see just what changing the background cardstock kind of did to the colors too. And sometimes they're a little bit darker, sometimes they're a little bit lighter, depends on how I inked them up. Here is the same card on Granny Apple Green for the background, and the same card using Bermuda Bay. So I think this could make a cute little gift set to give to somebody as well. So those are just 4 examples of little cards here. And then I will post pictures of these once, like I said, they're all put together, so you don't have to try to figure them out with my hands. And then just using this bigger set, these are cards that were created by Stampin' Up! Designers. And like I said, when I get a new set of stamps and I don't always know how to handle them, sometimes I just sort of look at the catalog and I start casing them, especially casing is copying and different acronym or different words for different people, but I say copy and share everything. And so I've used similar colors. This I tweaked up a little bit to make my own. I did, change these things up a little bit. But essentially it's the same outline. This actually is paper that's part of the designer series paper that accompanies this suite of products, but I used the shimmer textured paper and just sponged on a little of craft ink to create the white cane piece on there. So I will include a link in this live for the other video that shows you all of the great products in this suite. That should make it a little bit easier for you to find it, although I'm guessing it's going to be right below in my feed on this page as well. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next week with some other fun products and designs. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night. Bye-bye.